Hi, everybody. This is Ken Wilson. Once upon a time, I broadcast blues hockey. I always listen to Let's Go Blues Radio. It's everything you'll want as a blues fan. Oh, baby.
Stop doing those diet or workout fads to lose weight. Use the tried and true approach from Rockin' That Ideal Life that helps you find balance while enjoying food in moderation and nourishing your body. Try the Lean 30 program at rockinthatIdeallife.com and let today be your last first day of your weight loss journey.
When buying or selling your home, you need to feel protected. Realtor Mike Burgoyne not only looks out for your interests, but as a St. Louis area police officer will make sure you feel safe and well-informed with every decision. Email Mike at strikewithmike.com and start the process today. That's Mike at strikewithmike.com.
Get ready to hear some noise tonight. You're just seconds away from Let's Go Blues Radio.
Let's have a Donnybrook.
Eric Brewer was so bad.
Are we like Ogle Corp? Are we suspended?
I reciprocated the dickness.
Selfish hockey.
That's right, selfish hockey.
What did I tell you about stick tape?
You don't need it!
No doubt about it, eh? You're listening to Kurt, Bill, and Jeff on Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey fan podcast. Take it away, boys.
Whoa, I barely made it back to the mic in time.
Wow, that's stuck up on us.
I was thinking there was, for some reason, I was thinking, oh, there are 3 ads. Oh, no, there are 2 in the intro. Welcome to episode 7 of season 13. This is episode number 438 all-time of the often imitated, never duplicated, no soup for you. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Special thanks to our sponsors, rockinthatIdeallife.com and strikewithmike.com and centerizebury.com for, once again, proudly sponsoring the show. Please check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our t-shirt shop at letsgoblues.com for the very best in St. Louis Blues-themed t-shirts at an unbelievably fair price. It is Tuesday, November 22nd, and we're streaming live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and the Twitter. To interact with the show on social media, our handle on all the socials is at LGB Radio. I am Kurt Price. I'm a co-host for the big show tonight is Mr. Bill Day. Jeff Ponder is on assignment. The agenda for tonight includes discussion about no NHL games tonight, and we'll tell you why. The St. Louis Blues have been an up-and-down team lately. We'll talk about the recent games. We'll also talk some Jordan Kyrou and how some fans are just done with him. Is that right or wrong? We'll talk about it. We'll also talk some goaltending and revisit the Binnington and Husso situation from a couple years ago when Husso was traded away. Some fans wanted Binnington moved instead, so we'll analyze those goalies right now and see how the Blues fared. Did they keep the right guys? We'll talk about it. Plus some rapid-fire NHL tidbits where Connor McDavid was asked a stupid question in the post-game press conference. The Nashville Predators had a hilariously awesome finish versus the Asshats from Colorado. And also Milan Lucic was arrested for domestic battery. So we'll talk about that a little bit. All that and more on this exciting edition of Let's Go Blues Radio. There is no Jeff Ponder in the house tonight. So the allegations caught up with him.
Yeah. International allegations this time.
International, so right? Was it from Mozambique? No. Zimbabwe? No. Indonesia.
Indonesia today.
The Indonesian allegations. That sounds bad.
Oh, it's
going to end up in a gulag or something.
No, he's getting caned, right? Is that the part of the world that caned people?
You know what? Other parts of the world, who knows what they do? Caning would not surprise me. So we'll have to have him take his shirt off next show and show us his back.
And it's going to be, he's going to have 88 Kane on the back. That's
right. Yeah. Patrick Kane or Evander
tattooed permanently.
To get caned, is that the going lingo for that? When you get a Kane jersey, you got caned.
Yeah, it's the hockey version.
The hockey version. There are no NHL games on the agenda for this evening. The reason given for this was the NHL only had 3 buildings available for games on Tuesday, which is tonight. Arizona, Vancouver, and Calgary. But because of the holiday week in the U.S., more American teams have requested home dates. So that leaves just the Arizona Coyotes, who host the St. Louis Blues on Wednesday and did not want to play back-to-back home games. The NHL has 12 games on Wednesday, none on Thursday for Thanksgiving, 15 on Friday, and 9 on Saturday. So the risk of having teams play 4 games in 5 nights was too great. And one final wrinkle, 4 teams, the Wild, the Red Wings, Maple Leafs, and Senators, are unavailable for games as they return home from Sweden after the Global Series. So add all those factors up, and there's a rare dark night on the NHL calendar, giving hockey fans a free night to get some chores done.
And tune into Let's Go Blues Radio.
Right. What else you got going on? Nothing, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I would excuse those who are watching Fargo tonight. So.
Right, which is on right now.
Yeah.
Which we talked about before the show. Screwed me up. The commercial. I wasn't watching the commercial, I guess, and I heard it a few times. It was 10 p.m. airs 10 p.m. tonight. Oh, good. I'll check it out, or I'll record it because we're doing the show. But and then
checked. Lived all 49 of your years in the Midwest. You still haven't figured out this East Coast bias thing.
I know it exists. I just forget about it sometimes. It's just, and then I check the guide and it's on already. I'm like, what is it? Oh, god damn it! So, the official beers of episode number 438. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. My handle is Stprice12. Jeff's is JPonder94. Bill's is Bill133. Black Friday is coming up in a few days. So, and Bill and I and some other folks, we always go out to Global Brew in Edwardsville to celebrate Bourbon County Release Day, which is also Black Friday. And we kind of spend quite a while there. Have some lunch. Get a Bourbon County flight, among other things, and hang out and have a good time.
And last year it was U.S. Men's National Team World Cup game. This year is Blues versus Preds. Yep. So
2:00. Yeah. 2:00 Central.
Right in our wheelhouse.
Right. So we're going to get there probably, I don't know, lunchish sometime, and then check out the game, and be there for a few hours at least.
Yeah, I'll be there a little closer to 2.
Okay.
So
probably get there 12:30 or
work.
Man, Black Friday.
Stupid work.
Anyway, so that was a little foreshadowing, I guess, for your beer of the show, Bill.
It most certainly is. My beer of the show is where is it? Bourbon County 22 Coffee Stout. This is my favorite of the variants from last year. Probably my favorite variant since Cola.
Cola was good.
Cola was very good. I still have at least one of those. So Kurt and I were talking before the show, and I've got a lot of Bourbon County to drink because I think I still have a whole bunch. When we moved, I think I had over 20. So, and that was a year ago, and I think I've probably kept level with what I added last year and what I've consumed over the last year, but I think it's going to be a Bourbon County December for me.
I have 9. I counted 9 in the fridge before the show, so I know you're not supposed to put them in the fridge, but they're in my fridge. Shut up. So I don't feel like I don't plan ahead. I'm like, it's like spur of the moment. Bourbon County, I want it cold. So whatever. But so I went along with you, and I have a Bourbon County as well. Mine is the 2020 Earl Grey variant, which you said is your least favorite. And I think I remember it from the flights that year or something, and I didn't care for it. But I figured, well, hell, I'll drink it. I have it. I'll get rid of it.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't, the tea doesn't meld well. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm so used to coffee stouts. I have an occasional. How's that going there?
You can taste the tea.
Yeah,
but
it's very pronounced.
Yeah,
and Earl Grey is such an acquired taste, really, even with tea drinkers. I was surprised that they went that route, but yeah, it doesn't hit you at first; it hits you like after. Yeah,
and it's not very good.
Yeah. Well, you're getting rid of it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's got to be drank, right?
Right.
All right. Yeah. So we're pre-gaming, I guess, for Black Friday with the Bourbon Counties now, because Bourbon County is going to be the thing on Friday.
Pre-gaming, preseason, whatever. We're getting ready.
Right. And we'll get to watch a little Blues and Predators, little Ryan O'Reilly action, facing the Blues on Friday at 2 p.m. So if you're in the Edwardsville area and you want to grab a beer, hang out, come on by. We got a few different games to talk about. A couple of crap ones, one decent one, which followed up two pretty fantastic games. So quite the roller coaster of games that the Blues have been on lately. When we come back from the break, we will discuss that. You're listening to Kurt and Bill on Let's Go Blues Radio.
We'll return after these messages.
We've all tried a diet or workout fad at one time or another, but it always ends the same, right? We either lose the weight and then get back to our routine, but then put the weight right back on, or it just simply never takes hold. It's time to move into a habit-based program that focuses on organization and simplicity. Rock and That Idea Life's Lean 30 lays it all out for you with the correct food to eat, how to meal prep, and even sprinkles in plenty of healthy recipes. With Lean 30, you'll get the full ID Life arsenal, including energy for that needed kick, a tasty Nourish shake for your needed fiber intake, Slim Plus to help control your cravings and provide a metabolic boost, Lean capsules help bust those sugar cravings, and IED Nutrition gives you the added punch you need that takes the guesswork out of what supplements to take. Join the many who are seeing success and make this your last first day on a new program. Visit rockandthatidealife.com to get started, and remember to email Dustin at rockandthatidealife@gmail.com for an extra 10% off exclusively for Let's Go Blues Radio listeners. Start your transformation to the confident, vibrant person you've always wanted to be with rockandthatidealife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a beer lover's dream for hockey fans. Based in St. Louis, Missouri, owner Steve Albers has been brewing hockey-themed favorites for thirsty sports fans since 2017. From the Beauty IPA to the Old Arena Lager, a cold, frosty, hockey-themed beer is just what the doctor ordered for hockey fans in St. Louis. Make sure to check your local beer store for Center Ice Brewery beer today. LGB. Let's go beer.
St. Louis hockey fans know how it takes a reliable captain and a team of hard workers to achieve major goals. As a police officer and a hockey player, realtor Mike Burgoyne would wear the C in any situation. As a leader in the home buying or selling process, Mike has surrounded himself with a team of trustworthy inspectors, lenders, and escrow officers that work together more cohesively than Hall & Oates. And as a member of many teams in his life, Mike knows the service our first responders, veterans, nurses, teachers, and yes, even you Let's Go Blues Radio listeners provide the community, so he offers special rates to those individuals. Find the value in Mike's leadership and teamwork today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or calling 314-753-4060. He'll work closely with you and only show you the homes that match your goals. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com or call him at 314-753-4060 and succeed with your new teammate today.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
When Ponder said it does the voiceover work for the Burgoyne ad there at the end, and he goes, "That name again, Mike Burgoyne?" And I always think when he says that, it always reminds me of The Simpsons. Mr. Plow, that's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow.
Given his Simpsons fandom, I would not be surprised if that's where he got the inspiration.
You never. Yeah, I might be making a lot of faces this show after I take a drink of the beer. And I was like, forcing it down, really.
Bitter beer face. You and Daryl Sutter.
It's not bitter though. It's just tea. it's like tea in a bourbon barrel. That's like really weird. All right, so the Blues, after a couple of really good games, which caused a lot of Blues Nation to pretty much say, hey, this team might be a little better than we thought coming into this season. They just had 2 really good wins against good teams, and then they played the Sharks. And we talked about this last week, and I think Ponder in the notes here, he put something down he wanted us to talk about. He wants to take credit for this. Last week, Jeff said, I feel like this is a trap game. You go in with all the confidence in the world, and then you give up a 5 spot. And he called himself Ponstradamus for that. Like he's the first person to come up with the concept of a trap game.
Yeah. No, Frank Cusimano went on Channel 5 the day before saying this is a must-win game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's kiss of death.
First off, anything Frank, I like Frank Cusimano. He seems like a nice guy. But anytime he's commenting on hockey, throw it out the window. Yeah. It's like listening to my mom comment about hockey. She doesn't really know. She's just along for the ride. Whatever anybody says, that's fine.
Right. You want to know who the best shooting guards in St. Louis high school basketball?
For Vashon? Yeah, Vashon, yeah.
Frank Cusimano's your guy.
Yeah. DeSmet, Vashon. Let's talk about the high school power. Yeah.
He's one of those DeSmet guys. So.
The high school powerhouses and the high school basketball powerhouses in St. Louis. He's got that down. But hockey, not so much. There's just not enough time in the day to I mean, if you're studying high school basketball,
right?
I mean, that's you got to dedicate yourself to that. So there's not a lot of time for anything else. Okay. So yeah, this game, I mean, it's the same lineup as Tuesday night. So no real excuses there except for Hofer and Ned. Right. So, I didn't particularly care about this loss. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was embarrassing. But it didn't really upset me a whole lot because it's a one-off. I treat it as a one-off, right?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's not a one-off. That's 2 weeks in a row we got it on time.
We're on it now. Took a streak. Took a handful of weeks in the season to get it going. But you got to treat this kind of game as a one-off. You're playing some good hockey. The 2 wins prior were fantastic, and they were playing good hockey before that. Even when they didn't win the game, they were playing well. So, you lose to this game to the Sharks. It's like, I mean, it's embarrassing, but it happens. It is what it is. It's all in how you bounce back from a game like this. To me, and I said this online. It's like, but you know what? Whatever. I mean, as long as they don't follow this up with another crap game or 2. They should be fine. I mean, whatever. They come back the next game and they play well. It's a one-off. But then, of course, then there was the Kings game, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
So,
what did you think about the decision to go Hofer, Bennington, Hofer on this trip?
I'm always for playing the number. This is just me. But I'd rather see the number 1 play as much as humanly possible. Bennington is, and Hofer's got decent numbers this season, but Bennington's your number 1, and I like to see him play. Now this is the Sharks, right? I mean, this is the worst team in hockey, who have started out historically bad. So if you're going to start your backup in any game, I have no problem with this being the game you started in. I don't. But it happens. Shit happens. So did you like Hofer, this setup, Hofer, Bennington Hofer? Or?
I thought it was strategically the right way to go, with 2 weak teams bookending, the Kings. I thought, that seemed to be the right play.
Yeah.
And I really felt like, the Sharks game wasn't as much on Hofer as the Kings game was on Bennington. I thought in terms, I thought Hofer was better. Bennington just didn't look good against the Kings, I thought. But, Hofer came back with a super strong game against Anaheim. So
I thought there was I thought there was a major malfunctions on a few aspects of the Blues play against the Sharks. I thought there was some defensive breakdowns, some soft play in front of him, some bad puck luck, let's be honest, some bounces didn't go their way. But yeah, the softy in front, they were kind of standing around a couple times and missed some coverage. And I thought maybe Hofer, I mean, the most of the shots, the goals seem to be from in tight or in close, fairly close. So, I mean, it's hard to put some of those on the goalie, but, I think one of them, a couple of them beat Hofer like under the arm or short side or something. So I'm like, not that it was a bad goal to give up, but it's like, I'd just like to see him make that save. It'd be a nice save to make, to pick up his defense. Not to criticize him too much, because he was kind of hung out to dry a little bit as far as the chances against him, but still.
Yeah, that first goal, and honestly, the first 4 Sharks goals, every time I said out loud after I watched the replay, monkey fucking a football.
Monkey fucking football.
It
kind of was.
Your favorite phrase was that entire game. I think the Blues' confidence just kind of got, the bubble burst with kind of the comedy of errors that led up to the first goal, and they just never recovered. Hoffman wide open with a tap in from 10 feet, that should never happen.
Breakaway too, right? Breakaway and a quick snipe and a good shot. I think, and Jeff's not here, so we can't have a little debate back and forth, but he did leave some notes, a couple of his thoughts. So I'll go over them, since he did take the time to put them down. And so he said on the Sharks' second goal, he had a problem with this. So the Blues defense stops the rush. The puck goes to the far boards. Kapanen lazily throws it to the weak side behind the net, where there wasn't a Blue for a country mile. Point man, Okatuk? Am I pronouncing that right? Puts it on net. Eklund deflects the bot. I can't pronounce that. I don't know who half the Sharks players are. They're like, no, who's that guy?
I think Eric Curry played the third period, honestly.
Eklund deflects with bodies in front, and the Blues are down 2-0 with just 17 seconds in the period. He said he thinks Kapanen has to be more aware. Had time to look and find one of his forward partners at center. This goal was a death nail. It's probably being a little extreme. I watched the replay on this one, and I didn't. And I'd like to have Jeff here to go back and forth with, because I didn't think Kapanen had many options here. If he didn't have anybody open, there was no one to pass to. If he goes back up the far boards, there's a forward there. There's a defenseman there at the point to hold it in, so he can't go that way. And he wraps it around the boards to the vacant side. And Bushnevich was actually slow getting into the defensive zone, so he wasn't there to cover that side. And they hold it in, and they shoot, and they score. I don't really have a problem with what Kapanen did. Kapanen probably could have wrapped around harder to get it out if he wanted to, or he could have eaten it along the boards and done a little puck battle to let guys position themselves for hopefully to get the loose puck and transition out. But I didn't have a problem with him necessarily throwing it out the way he did. But that's just me. I think the goal that killed the Blues in this game was the third goal. And I think that was the one where Neighbors was tripped trying to come out of the zone and turn the puck over because of the trip. No call. And the Sharks pass down low, then pass in the slot, and they score. And it's funny because on the NHL.com site, when you can look at each goal, right, to see the replay. And they have the broadcast team for the team that scored the goal. So it's the Sharks announcers here. They don't really say too much about the trip. They say, the Sharks probably got away with them there, and they glaze over it, right? I'm like, that is the major reason why this goal was scored. If Neighbors doesn't trip, the puck's out of the zone, and there's no goal at all. That's a huge deal. That was a terrible no call, awful no call. I think that one killed them because it came like a minute after the second goal.
Yeah. The bad theme on this trip is quick goals given up.
Yeah.
Way too many goals in quick succession. Going forward to the Kings game, I mean, 2 goals in 19 seconds. Can't do that. And that has been a bad theme with this team over the last 4 games.
I actually I hung out after the game because the Teal Town USA, our friends over at Teal Town USA talk. They do a show after every single Sharks game, and so when the Blues play the Sharks, I'll listen to their show occasionally against other teams, but I like to often tune into their show, especially after the Blues, just to get their take on things, and I'll be chiming in during the chat and stuff, and they're kind enough to humor me and discuss what I talk about. But I gave them props and credit because I thought the Sharks were on it this game. I thought they pressured the Blues hard. They wanted this game more. Something lit a fire under them before this game as they were all over the Blues. And Sharks looked pretty good in this game, and a combination with the Blues not playing well. It was just, that doesn't take anything away from the Sharks because they did play well, but it was a bad combination for the Blues. So that's and it results in the 5-1 loss. And Blues did outshoot the Sharks 45-35. So hey, we won that one because the Sharks at this point in the season had not outshot a single team in a game, and so I think going in the third period it was like close. Might have been even on shots, or they're separated by 1, and the Blues dominated the third period in shots because the Sharks are sitting back. They're not trying to do too much in the third period, even though they did score in the third period. No, they didn't. I'm sorry, they got 1 in the first, 4 in the second. So
yeah, but you're not gonna say that this was a game that was won by a hot goalie. Kaapo Kähkönen, he was good, but not great.
Well, he didn't. We didn't.
He didn't have to be.
I mean, he made some nice saves, but we didn't. I mean, those 45 shots on goal. I thought he was. I thought he was pretty good. But I thought it was just as much the Blues not bearing the golden chances that they did have.
Right. So I thought the game would have been totally different if Kapanen scores early. When he's pretty much all alone on him, tries to go through the arm and just doesn't get it through. And I thought that could have completely changed the tone of the game. And the Blues just never. It wasn't like they got deflated by that, but they just never found a groove.
No, outshot the Sharks by 10, 45-35. 0 for 4 on the power play, so the power play lets them down again. The Blues, they had a couple power play goals a few games ago, but they are still, let me pull it up here. The Blues are the 31st, second worst power play in the league, 7.7%.
It's amazing that somebody could possibly be worse than this power play.
The Capitals are 7%. 7%.
And how can a team with Alexander Ovechkin not have power play goals?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, and the first place. Who is number 1 in power play? Take a guess.
Columbus.
No, New Jersey. Do you know what their rate is?
It's close to 30%.
39.
Yeah,
that is nuts.
They are an insanely good team.
Yep. Rangers are 32. They're at second, and Vancouver's 31. Arizona's 26.9, which is a little surprising. That's probably due to the Blues, probably.
Yeah.
Didn't they score a few on us? Power play goals? I believe
they did. I think going into the last game not the last game, I guess the earlier games in the season, they lit us up pretty good. But yeah, it feels like, this time last year, we were talking about how Craig McTavish was relieved of his PK duties because the PK was so bad. Mm-hmm. Are we going to find out that somebody's been relieved of the power play duty? Like, could they bring him back and fire him again and say it's your fault? The power play sucks so bad.
This is, I'm not going to say historically bad for the NHL, but this is the worst power play I've seen the Blues have ever that I can think of. I can't think of a worse power play right now especially with some of the top end talent they have: Buchnevich, Thomas, Kyrou, Shen. Shen's should be a great power play option, right? Down low in front of the net, stuff like that. Buchnevich too. You got Falk, you got Krug, you got Prunovich. I mean, you've got guys that should be putting up some points on the power play, and they're just Verana, and they're just not. I mean, and it's not like in most of early in the season they weren't getting chances. They just looked terrible. They couldn't get zone time. But, lately they've been getting zone time and they've been getting chances. They just can't put it in. It's just, I mean, maybe that, things will even out and they'll start going in, but in buckets. But it's hard to explain when a team gets golden chances, and a lot of them, and gets zone time on the power play, but just can't score. And it's like you can break down a team, you can break down a power play, and you can say, well, they're not doing this, they're not doing that because what you're trying to do is generate chances and generate good scoring chances. And the Blues have zone time, and maybe they're not getting enough chances. I think they're passing too much. Yeah, honestly, I think when they went on that nice streak, the Blues where they were winning games and playing well, they were shooting a lot more. Mm-hmm. And they took 45 shots against San Jose, but a lot of them I'm going to say a lot came in the third period, right? Yeah. Where's the thing here? Third period shots on goal per period, 18 in the third period and 16 in the second. So they really had a lot of shots, but I mean, that goes back to the point I made before about just burying the chances you have. They just didn't do it. I don't, it's a strange thing to try and break down. It's like, keep it simple, simplify it. And it sounds so simple to say, just, a couple passes and shoot, crash the net. Keep it simple. Yeah. This goes back to the Pee Wee hockey. Just go to the net, shoot it on net. Try and find a lane.
Yeah. When things aren't working, shoot the puck. That is the simplest thing to do in hockey. That's right. Yeah. And Matt Harris in the chat says, "You're telling me we don't score more by passing to each other 12 times without a shot?"
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And it's frustrating to watch them pass the puck around and to not have somebody in front. Or what play I love? I love when the puck is on the half wall near boards, say, okay, and there's a guy and you've got a forward not at the crease or at the top of the crease, but he's kind of like halfway, in that soft spot between the forwards and the defense, and he's not being covered very, very tight, and you fake a shot, but you put it right on his stick, and he redirects it like at a 45-degree angle on net. Mm-hmm. I love that play, and I was looking. I mean, that's a nice play to try because they're trying to take away your shooting lane, right? And you're not shooting on net, so that's not the lane you're going for. You're looking for a passing lane, which maybe is open, and then the deflection is obviously hard to stop. So, and I'm looking for that kind of a play, and against Anaheim, they didn't do it, but there were a few times I'm like, that play's there, it's there, and then it was gone. And right. I'm like, I love, and that play to me, especially when you're not doing very well on the power play, it's like, okay, if you're not going to shoot and you want to pass, do a shot pass, right? To the guy at the low slot to do a redirect on net. And that's, it's not going to work every time, but there were a few times where it seemed to be there and they weren't trying it. So I'm not, I don't know. There's a bunch of things you can try, and they just seem to be passing and passing and passing, and the shot never gets towards the net on the power play. And it's frustrating because they have zone time.
Right. Going back to your point before, when they were having, those last two games of the homestand, they were had the more shoot first mentality, and it's back to pass, move it around the perimeter and see what we can find, and nothing ever opens up and you don't try anything different. And then maybe somebody tries to force something through a body, and that's never going to work in the NHL these days.
So after this game, the Blues played LA, and you're hoping for a bounce back game, right? I talked about this. So after you lay an egg, teams are going to lay eggs. Colorado just allowed 2 goals in 38 seconds to Nashville at the end of the game. In the last 38 seconds, actually 2 goals in 12 seconds or whatever it was. It was stupid. Within the last 38 seconds of the game, they allowed 2 goals in a 12-second span to lose. They were up by 1. So the shit happens, right, to good teams. So when you throw up a stinker against the worst team in the NHL, yeah, it's bad. But come back the next game, bounce back with a strong game. Forget about it. It's a long season. They played LA. 4 goals allowed in the first period, one after the other. It was a continuation of the game against San Jose almost. Binnington was back in net for this one, so different look in net. The Blues were number 1 on the PK on the road coming into this game, which if you're looking for silver linings right now with this team, hey, the PK on the road looking pretty good.
Until this game. Until
the first goal. It was the first goal or second goal? I think it was the first goal. LA scored, was on the power play in this game.
Yeah. Right.
So
2 minutes into the game too, right?
Yeah, it was early. It was really
very early.
Yeah.
Right. And I thought the worst goal of this 3-game swing was the second goal. That's a save that Binnington's got to have.
Well, the second goal, isn't that the one where Shen coughed it up too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a series of unfortunate events, right? Yeah, just a bad series of plays.
But yeah, a floater that gets through the blocker side, and just thought that was just an awful goal to give up. That's talk about when your team needs a save. That was it.
Oh, was that the second goal? Yeah, okay, and before that too. Falk's stick was slashed in half.
Yeah,
that was before the second goal.
Yeah,
and no call. I mean, it was a 2-handed like he's chopping wood, shatters the stick in half. No call when that's always called.
Mm-hmm.
Always called, and no call. And then 5 seconds later, it's in the net. And I'm like, this is the second game in a row where a blatant missed call has directly caused a goal, and that was frustrating. Not that that non-call is going to make a difference in the game because of the way the rest of the first period went. You got to think it's probably going to go the same way. But stick chopped in half,
right?
Just bad.
And championship teams are they're resilient and they bounce back from those bad calls.
Sure.
And this team these 2 games, their head was so far up their ass, there was no chance. They just, by the time they hit the ice in both these games, I think they lost them. Their heads weren't there. Yeah. And just hard to pinpoint, what the problem was.
Outplayed right out of the chute in this game. And the entire first period, it was just like on their heels. The Kings just came at them. And you're down 4-0 after the first period. You're like, well, this game's over.
Yeah,
pretty much. But and this game annoyed me because it was the game. This was the game. If you're going to have a letdown game or a trap game against the Sharks, this is your stereotypical bounce back game. This is the game you want to. Okay, we played like ass last game. Let's tighten things up, turn it around, and play a smart, good game this game. And that absolutely did not happen right out of the chute. Inexcusable first period. I mean, if you're going to lose this game 5-1, lose it late with 4 goals in the third. You should have came out really strong in the first period after last game against San Jose. Your first period, realistically should have been your best period because you should be out there wanting to atone for the last game right off the bat, and they did the exact opposite. So and talking about this, I guess we have to take a step back and put things into perspective about our expectations for this team for the season, because you don't want to get too much into, gosh, they should be doing this, should be doing that, when if they were doing that, they'd be an elite team. Does that make sense? Because it's like, okay, they are the way they are, and they're playing some inconsistent hockey. They're on a high, then they're on a low. and that's the sign of the team that doesn't quite have it. So as a team, or haven't figured it out yet fully. So
yeah, I was telling a friend of mine at work today that I feel like it's a sign of a team that relies too much on inexperienced youth in Thomas and Kyrou as the kind of the bellwethers for the team, right? They haven't got the even keeled nature. And you'd like to think Shen could instill that on everybody on this team as the leader, but that's not happening. Way too much ebb and flow with this team.
After the game, Robert Thomas was quoted as saying, "It starts with us leaders. We've got to step up. We've got to play better, and it falls on our shoulders." At this, I don't know. I mean, I guess things could be worse. You could be San Jose, you could be Edmonton, but when players say stuff like this after a loss like this, it's like, do they even mean it? I mean, are they just like saying something for the reporters, for the cameras? Yeah. It doesn't mean anything. It's fluff. It's like, got to be better as leaders, got to step up. Well, yeah, no shit. Yeah, I mean, do it. Quit saying we should do this, we should do that. Do it. If you can't do it, then you're just not good enough. I don't know what else to say about it. You're saying you should do this and you should do that, but if you don't do this and you don't do that, or you can't, then you're not good enough to do what you're saying you should be doing. So then where are we?
Well, Robert Thomas was in LA, so he's going to say those things and go to the club.
Well, and to be fair, Thomas is a point-a-game player this season. So he has, 17 points in 17 games or 18, whatever it is. He's a point-a-game guy.
Right. He is the one guy that is playing to expectation.
Right. He's been fine. He's been fine.
And I think those points that he's making are the points of a guy who wants to be a leader, right? Yeah,
right. And so if that's the case, then be a leader, right? I mean, is one thing there's different ways you can lead. You can lead by example. He's putting up a point a game on the ice, which is great. 80+ point guy in the NHL is fantastic nowadays. Good, really good player offensively. But, also, leaders are players that lift other players up around them on the ice too, and make them play better. So, most of Thomas's point, let me pull up Thomas's stuff here. Do I have it in front of me? Thomas, surely I have it. There it is. Yeah. No, I don't. There it is. Robert Thomas, 6 goals, 11 assists. So he's got a few more goals than probably expected, but 11 assists. So 17 points is a +6. He's playing well. Face-off percentage 56. He's doing all the right things.
Is very, very impressive.
Except for against San Jose. I think San Jose had a really good face-off day. I think Thomas was under 50% against San Jose, but they dominated on the face-off that game. But you can't win them all.
So but you can't shit the bed in them all.
Yeah,
at the same time.
There are really good offensive players on some really bad teams in NHL history too. So there's how many times and the Blues weren't really bad when Hull was here, but how many times did you hear people say you can't win a cup with Hull? You can't win a cup with Hull. Can't do it. And that was said a lot because when he was here, and that wasn't true. But I think the underlying point is that you can be a really good offensive player and it might not make a difference. Your team, you're going to put up points, but the team might still be bad. So you need a lot of contributions from a lot of different players, and the Blues aren't getting it from in enough areas right now. Even though the goaltending has been good, defense has been much better, except for the game against San Jose and LA this season. But hopefully that turns around. The game against Anaheim was much better, kind of returned to the norm against not a very good team. So still, with that said, San Jose wasn't very good either. Shit the bed against them. But so I wanted to say real quick too about it. Kind of sucks on the Blues website that you ever do this? You click on the game recap because you want to read the article written, and you're taken to a boring, generic NHL.com article. It's not. You're taken off the Blues. I'm on the Blues website. Looking at
Blues.nhl.com
on the Blues website, and I click on. I want to read a recap of the game. It redirects me to NHL.com to a generic, boring, basically a written box score with a few quotes from players after the game. It's nothing. It doesn't. I mean, what happened? They used to link to Korak's articles a lot.
The Kings game is Dan Greenspan, NHL.com, independent correspondent.
It's so bad. It's the bare minimum for a journalist to do, a reporter to do. It's just they do. There's no insight. There's no creative commentary about the team in this article. Nothing. It's just a written box score with some quotes. It sucks. And I'm like, I'm on the Blues website. Give me a Blues recap. And if the Blues lose in a game, half the time when you read the article, it's all plays and things that the other team did well, but and very little about the Blues. And I'm like, I'd like to hear what the Blues did poorly, or how the Blues did poorly, or what they did wrong, or give me a Blues. There are Blues beat writers. Why aren't they getting their articles? I mean, what happened to Korak's articles that go on NHL.com? I want to, because he has. I love reading his stuff because he doesn't pull any punches. He'll tell you what he thinks of the team and how they're doing, how they're playing. I love that.
Right, and he's there for everything, every presser, every practice. Blues always there.
Yeah, this independent reporter does not talk to the team. Right. He doesn't have insight on the team. He doesn't know. So I mean, it's annoying.
He could take a pointer or two from the old hometown phone book game recaps that we used to publish.
Oh man, yeah. Bill's referring to our old roller hockey days when we had a website. We would
multiple websites.
We had like 3. Yeah, because everyone it was in the day of you get 10 megabytes free with your dial-up provider, right?
Yeah.
Or Angelfire, or whatever it was.
Yep.
Or GeoCities.
Yep.
But yeah, we had some web space, and we would do recaps, and they were creative as hell. I don't know, it was fun. So yeah, our recaps for our games were far more insightful and interesting than the shit they put up there on NHL.com. It's just boring. And the same thing for the San Jose game. It was the same as another independent NHL.com, person. I wouldn't call him a writer. He's a person compiling, stats, just to verbalize stats. So let's get back to winning. The Blues defeated the Ducks 3-1 in their last game. This is the game. This is the game the Blues should have played versus LA. It would have been a little bit better of a game.
It's the game the Blues should have played against San Jose.
Yeah, true. And this game could have been like 5-1. They really could have had a few more goals.
Gibson had a few stellar saves.
Yeah. Neighbors, Brezhnevich, and Toropchenko scored for the Blues. Neighbors have been on fire lately, putting a few goals. And, he's played better. Hopefully he's turning a corner as far as stepping up his game on a more consistent basis goes. That would be huge for this team offensively, because they were, let's be fair. There were higher hopes for Neighbors than he's shown so far. A little bit, not a ton, right? You want him to be like a middle six guy, and he was like struggling to stay in that role.
Well, I mean, think back to, what I think back to, I shouldn't tell people what to think back to, but what I think back to is, when he was playing for the Edmonton Oil King in the same building as Connor McDavid, and he replicated Connor McDavid goals back-to-back weeks with some insane moves. Like, holy shit, we have a phenom on our hands. And, fast forward 3 years and they're like, oh, hey, look, he could be Jaden Schwartz in a year or two.
Yeah.
Right. But I like that. I was always a Jaden Schwartz fan. We need those kinds of guys. And I think, he is a hockey, like he's a rink rat. You can tell that. And like, he's a very good locker room kind of guy. And he, a year or two, he's going to have an A.
He's a little feisty out there too.
Yeah.
He doesn't really back
He
down.
dropped the gloves. Was it Arizona he dropped the gloves against?
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. So I like that he plays a little bit of an edge. Doesn't take any crap out there. Doesn't skate away from a guy talking crap out there. So that's good to see. I think McTavish scored for Anaheim midway through the third period when it was 3-0, made it 3-1. Hofer played very well in this game, stopping 25 of 26. Deserved the number 3 star that he got, but the Blues as a whole, a very Jekyll and Hyde team the last 5 games, to say the least. The MoneyPuck.com's deserved a winometer had the Blues after 1,000 simulations based on advanced stats, winning this game 60.5% of the time. So they did agree with our analysis of, well, it was obvious to see the Blues played well, but scoring chances, there's a hotspot scoring chance map that shows the good scoring chances that each team had, and the Blues kind of dominated that, especially around the net in the low slot area. They had a lot more scoring chances than Anaheim did. Good scoring chances.
Yeah, I mean the Buchnevich power play goal. I mean that was every goal that was scored in the Blues in the first half of the season last year, right? Wide open at the back door, tap it.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and Buchnevich put that high like he had to, because it was Gibson got across, but it was more like a wedge shot, right? The one-time wedge that goes up top. Yeah,
the 60-degree wedge.
Yeah, very very nice, very nice shot by Buchnevich to get up there, get up high. Ponder's thoughts on this game. He got a note here. The neighbors Sundqvist Alexandrov line was a force all night. They were forechecking and tying up sticks every time Anaheim tried to break out of the zone. Led to neighbors' opening goal. So Ponder contributing to the show without actually being here.
Right, while facing allegations.
While facing the allegations. I'm not sure if legally we can actually say his name right now on the show.
Right.
But we are.
I think every time we do, he gets caned one more time.
Let me pull up the standings here. The Blues in the Central Division currently sit in 4th place with 19 points. They are 9-7-1. Dallas is first place at 25. Colorado sits at 22, tied with Winnipeg at 22. All of those teams, including the Blues, have played 17. Arizona's played 18 games, and they sit at 18 points. And the Predators, who you just hate to see, below the Blues in the standings, 17 games played, 14 points. And like I said, they just came back and beat Colorado the other night, so that helps the Blues if you're holding out hopes for the Blues to catch Colorado at some point this season.
Yeah, I'm not holding out hope for that. I did watch the second half of the Stars Avalanche game the other night, and that just what a kick in the nuts for the Stars to lose that game. That was not good.
What was the score of that game?
Was it? I think final was 5-3. I don't know. I have a guy I work with who's a huge Stars fan, and he was very, very disappointed with the outcome. Let me see if I can get back to that score.
Man, being a huge Stars fan, that's just got to be a.
He's from Texas, so
okay. I mean, what I'm getting at is that it's like, I mean, the Stars franchise. I mean, yeah, they won a cup, yeah, but.
With Brett Hull,
with Brett Hull,
your earlier point.
Yeah, with Brett Hull. So, I just don't like the Stars, and it's mostly because of Jamie Benn.
I thought you were going to say Bob from the Stars.
Bob from the Stars. Jamie Benn. There's still that Belfour stink on the team for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. And Craig Ludwig. I always hated that fucker for his pads. His shin pads. He'd fan out to be like a foot wide, and the NHL did nothing about it. And he's got like ridiculous. If you don't know who Craig Ludwig is, look at Ludwig. Look him up, and Craig Ludwig's pads. Shin pads.
He wore them at the University of North Dakota in when he played there in the late 70s, early 80s, and wore them all the way through his NHL career.
Yeah. What he would do is he bent the plastic and fanned them out so they were a lot wider, and he looked ridiculous skating on the ice. But he was a shot blocker, and I'm like, how the NHL allowed that when they restrict every single inch of a goalie, right? But they allow this kind of shit to go on in front of the goalie is ridiculous.
Yeah, I love Luddy from the 86 Canadians, 88 Canadians. Or sorry, 89 when they lost to Calgary. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
hated that. And my image of him is with the Stars playing that way.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and I just
for sure.
So I hated the Stars anyway, and then I'm like, he's almost like he's cheating. He's cheating.
Right. That there was so much to hate about those Stars teams. Yeah. Darian Hatcher. Ed Belfour.
Belfour. Yeah. Any team with Belfour. You don't need anybody. You don't need anybody else. That's it. Belfour. That's all you need. But there was also Hatcher for one. Was it got easy to hate?
Yeah, and then we wind up with we got Robin Turek. He was going to be Ed Belfour's replacement.
Stolen from Dallas.
Stolen him, and we all know what happened here.
Jesus.
So the final of that game, it was 6-3 Colorado.
Jordan Kyrou, talk about him a little bit. For the number of chances Jordan Kyrou is getting, which he seems to always be around the net, always having chances. I mean, he flubs some chances too, but he seems to be getting a ton of chances. He's just struggling to put the puck in the net.
Mm-hmm.
So he has 4 goals in 17 games. He could be leading the league in goals. His advanced stats for expected goals this season is 12.24. I think the league leader is 14 or something goals. So I mean, he could be up there with the league leaders in goals if he would just capitalize on his opportunities the way he probably should be. Some fans are yelling for him to be traded. A lot of the not worth the contract quotes floating around, even though he's in his first year of this contract and he's still pretty young. 8-year deal, 8.125 per. Man, fans can turn on a player quick. Wow. And just an FYI, his no trade clause. He does have no trade clause, but not right now. It kicks in the 25-26 season, so he could be traded. And there'll be some takers. Oh boy.
Oh my God. Philly, I'm sure, was drooling all over that potential deal that Torrey Krug nixed, right?
So, I don't think his contract structure would be an issue for most teams. As long as they could fit it somehow, they'd want him. Because that tells you all you know.
At this point, you cannot consider him a spent asset. Right, he still has a ton of upside, and is it frustrating as a fan to see him, pucks roll off his stick? Yeah, absolutely. But he's still maturing. It's slower than any of us want. But man, I don't know. I feel like my take on Binnington, on Kyrou, the other Jordan, my take on him is that, maybe he needs to play around with different sticks, right? He needs to see something that he can actually control a pass with, because that seems to be an issue, right? I mean, there are times that maybe he takes his eye off the puck when he's trying to stick handle, but there are other times when he just catches a pass or tries to catch a pass and it bounces.
Yeah,
right. And
like a stick's too stiff or something.
Yeah, yeah. Mess around with David Perron. No hiding my love for David Perron, but he was such a rink rat, and the guy that always messed around and was messing around with different lengths of stick, different whips, and different flexes. I think Kyrou needs to get there and find something that works for him. And
I think
just get some confidence.
Yeah, when you're not playing as well as you probably should, it's oftentimes a mental thing, right? So you're simply changing something to make it give you a different feel out there can just be the world of difference, right? So Matt Harris says one thing he's noted that Kyrou needs a fast friend. A lot of times when he gets the puck in, it's worthless because there's no one else there to help him. Part of that might be, too, is that Kyrou sometimes tries to be a one-man show where he doesn't really – he's doing a lot of stick handling, right? But also at the same time, he'll pass up a shot when he has the shot to take. And that seems to be the case with a lot of this team right now. So I want Kyrou shooting as much as possible. I don't care. Him and Vrana, especially. Yeah. Shoot. You might have the two best shots on the team. Let it go. I mean, every chance you get. If you got a lane to the goal, shoot it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to Matt's point, he needs a fast friend. We haven't seen a combination I don't think we've seen this year is Kapanen with Kyrou. I think Kapanen's probably the only guy that could keep up with him. Would be interesting to see, a lot of speed on that line. If the Jekyll and Hyde personality on this team continues, and we're back talking about how shitty the last couple games were. Maybe that's the line combination to try out and see if that leads to more odd man breaks. Problem is, odd man breaks, if they're happening one way, they're going to happen the other way.
Right. But that's fun hockey, though, right? And in action.
Right.
As long as you're coming out on top more times than not, I'm all for that. But no, yeah, I mean, speed kills, right? Speed is the great equalizer sometimes. We saw that against Colorado a number of times with just a fast team. And sometimes you just can't keep up. And the speed kills you. You get blown by, you get walked wide defensively. And if you can move the puck, if you can move, if you got fast skaters and you're also quick touch passes, I mean, forget about it. I mean, they're accurate. That's hard to stop. I don't care how good you are defensively. Goaltending. I thought we could talk a little about goaltending and reflect back on the freak out some of Blues Nation had when Husso was traded to Detroit for the 73rd pick in the 2022 NHL entry draft. Which ended up being Alexandre Kaskamaki. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Currently 19 years old and is projected by some to be a top 6 forward in the NHL. And how we were stuck with Bennington. People wanted to trade Bennington instead, which we couldn't due to his no trade clause. After trading, Husso then agreed to a 3-year, $4.75 million per average deal. And Husso does have a no trade clause, a modified 10-team no trade clause. So other teams do give out no trade clauses as well. But anyway, the numbers so the Blues decided to part ways with Husso, get something for him. And go with Bennington, and last year was Greiss as the backup to give Hofer another year in the AHL. Now they brought Hofer up this year, so it's Bennington and Hofer, the two goalie tandem, and then Husso was. So that upset some folks a couple years ago when Husso left. And to be fair, Husso played fantastic most of the season that year. He was great. He was one of the main reasons we got to the playoffs that season. But also, in fairness, he did kind of struggle down the stretch, and he looked bad in the playoffs versus Colorado.
Right. Those last 5 games, and then the start of that series against Colorado, that was close to bed shitting territory.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, you could chalk some of that up to, he had played a lot of games that season, and it was his first taste of NHL playoffs against a really good Colorado team that was all over us. So, you could make excuses for, a couple of those things, whatever. But so the numbers this season for Bennington, 12 games played, he's 5-5-1, 9.22 save percentage, 2.47 goals against average. He has 6 quality starts and a 7.3 goals saved above average. Hofer has 6 games played, 4-2-0, 9.14 save percentage, 2.79 goals against average, with 4 quality starts and a 1.9 goals saved above average. Husso in Detroit, 10 games played, 6-3-1. Record's pretty good. 8.85 save percentage, though, 3.61 goals against average, 3 quality starts, and a negative 5.5 goals saved above average. In his last season in Detroit, he was 56 games played. This is his first full season in Detroit. 26, 22, and 7, 8.96 save percentage, 3.11 GAA, 26 quality starts, and a negative 13.5 goals saved above average. After the season, Husso will have 1 year left on his deal he signed in Detroit. So Husso's not having the best go of it in Detroit. And you don't hear a lot about, if Husso were playing really well in Detroit, you'd hear about it, Blues fans. Right. Oh my God, wish we had Husso. So, but I don't get to watch a lot of Detroit's games. I'll catch a game every now and then. But, we've talked before about how goaltending is really hard to analyze with advanced stats because a lot of stuff doesn't take it into account. And so I wanted to get the opinion of somebody who watches every game, knows what he's talking about, as a buddy of mine, Kirk Gino. And I asked for his take on Husso and how he's playing and how he looks to him. He goes, Husso has struggled. Last year, he was practically the team MVP for the first half of the season. Then he tired out with the heavy workload. That sounds familiar. He's yet to regain his groove, and things are not looking promising. Seems like he always lets in at least one soft goal each game, often at the worst possible times. Reimer started out great, but was also struggled of late. His struggle started out a couple weeks ago when he took the worst penalty I've ever seen a goalie take in overtime. He grabbed Cole Caulfield's stick, held onto it for like 5 seconds. They promptly scored on the power play to win the game. That game. Did you? Yep. And he's sucked in his two starting appearances since. Lyon got the start, so they got 3 goalies this season on the roster and looked decent, but lost 3-2 to the Leafs. That's his first action of the season. He said Detroit's defense has been lackluster as well. Lots of odd-man rushes, mostly the fault of Jeff Petrie and Ben Sherratt. So a horrific pairing, he said.
A former Montreal pairing.
So
Sherratt and Petrie.
We all know what it's like here to have the goaltending stats suffer because of bad defense in front of him. But he thinks that Husso has struggled as well. So I like Husso. We've seen how he's capable of playing. He's a huge reason why he made the playoffs. I mentioned a couple of years ago. And maybe he can figure out his inconsistency issues. He's 28 though, and he should be entering his prime pretty soon. So he's right there. But there's still a lot of time for him to come around. And the defense in Detroit isn't great. But right now, I think it's obvious that as far as goaltending is concerned, that the Blues put their money behind the best option. And they moved on from Husso, and they kept. Hofer is still super early in his career. Could go either way. He's had some bad starts, some good starts, but I'm perfectly fine with the Blues going with Binnington and Hofer over keeping Husso at this point. So based on how he's played in Detroit, and from what I've heard from some Detroit fans who watch him every game. So.
Right. And last year, I mean, the thing we kind of glazed over was last year was Thomas Grice's backup, right? And that we could have made a lot better decision on backup last year. We could have had Hofer up here a lot earlier, I think. But
yeah, maybe. I guess there's something to be said too. Maybe they could have felt that, bringing Hofer up too soon could have killed him mentally. I don't know. If he's not ready, he's not ready. But yeah, Grice was definitely not a good guy to have as a backup for multiple reasons, right?
Did you see he was in attendance with Lutz Pfannenstiel at the last home game?
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
That was pretty interesting.
Couple of Germans, though, right?
Yeah, couple of German goalkeepers.
Yeah, right.
Right. So that was really interesting. But I thought Kirk's breakdown on Husso, that was his first season here, right? Really bad goal. He gave up. We talked at length
early too.
After week, first shot goes in every time, right? And then he finally figured it out at the end of the 2021 season, or the 2020 season.
2020,
and he got on that heater and kept it going until the stretch run. Right until the late part of that stretch run. when it was a very tough decision, and we've covered at length all the decisions that Armstrong made, and the heartburn that I had over the David Perron versus Nick Leddy, and Husso and Jake Wallman, and there were. This team could still feel like the team from that should have done so much better the year after the Cup run, right? And we moved on from it. And I think we're absolutely right. Hofer is showing signs of what you would expect at this point, right? He's had really, really strong games and really, really bad games, right? In terms of goals against, but. I think that will even out. I think we're going to have a good, not 1A, 1B, but a 1 and 2 here for the next couple of years.
Yeah. And Hofer's actually is 5 years younger than Husso too.
Right.
So he's
right. And his puck handling.
Oh, so good.
Right. He's probably, I'd probably put him top 10 in the league at this point.
At least.
Yeah.
Is he, would you say he's better than Bennington?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Bennington's decent, but Hofer,
I think Bennington's good.
Right.
I'd say Bennington's top 10. You think Hofer's better than Bennington?
Yeah, I think so at this point.
So in my opinion then, if we combine our opinions, we have 2 top 10 puck handling goalies.
Yeah. and if you're listening to this show, of course, it's only our opinion that matters.
Right, sure. Or you can just read the recaps on NHL.com and get generic box score verbiage about a game and learn absolutely nothing.
And Joel Hofer, who scored a goal a couple of years ago in the AHL, that might be the color commentary you get.
How many times are we going to hear that this season with the goalie pulled and Hofer in net every single fucking time?
God, oh man, that was it. The Penguins.
It's been a couple times this season already. They've done it
because I was like,
well, against Anaheim, it was a 2-goal lead, and they're like, it's a 2-goal lead. Given the opportunity, Hofer might take a shot because it was a 2-goal lead in the AHL when he scored the goal. It's like, okay. If it's 2-goal lead and he's got the puck behind the net, yeah, fire away. Go ahead. Who cares? But it'd be great to see. I'd love it.
God.
But it's so much fun.
That's kind of the one goalie thing we haven't seen here in St. Louis.
That's true.
Right? It is.
It's kind of like the Cardinals and Wainwright, right? The Cardinals had a shit season last year, but they had Wainwright to get people excited. If Hofer does score a goal this season, that's gonna That's gonna be the story for this team the entire season, right? They're gonna just keep playing that clip about something that positive that happened for this team, and they can just roll with that.
No, I still think we could aspire to third place in the Central. I think Doug got it right.
You think we'll finish? You think we can finish third? No, I'm not saying
we can aspire to it.
We aspire. This team could finish third.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they will, I don't know. I have no idea because there's. I hate doing predictions because people do that stuff and there's so much unknown shit that happens in the future that is injuries and whatever. So I don't whatever. I hate doing predictions. I like short game stints, right? How they played the past 5 games, how and their outlook for the coming week or two. I'm all about that. I'm all over that because it's short term. But you're trying to predict something, 3 months from now. It's like fuck. What are you doing? That's hard to do. It's impossible. You're guessing. You're flat dartboard, blind dartboard. What you doing?
Yeah. So predicting the next 4 games, since we have those on the list here. Tomorrow night, Arizona. I'm predicting another in a poop emoji.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm expecting a loss.
Okay. And even with the best road penalty kill. I assume it's still the best. We allowed 1 last game.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see either team giving up early in this one because it's a holiday evening game in a college town. So there's going to be a lot of wanting to get out and go to the club. I assume the Blues are, there are a lot more family guys on this team than there are not. So they're probably jumping on a charter straight after the game to come home for Thanksgiving.
Okay, so Arizona beat the Blues in their first matchup, and the Blues beat Arizona. So this is the. Do they play more? They play 4 games.
They've already played 4 games. This is the 5th game, right? Isn't it?
No. They don't play 5 games to anybody in the Central. They played them twice. This is the 3rd game.
Is it? No.
Yeah.
This feels like the 4th game.
Well,
like
they won 2-1 on November 9th. Okay, and then in October, let's go back to October.
I thought we lost twice to them in October.
Nope, we lost once. We lost on October 19th. And that's the only game. We lost 6-2. It was a 6-2 loss, and because
it's because we played them like 4 times in one day in the preseason.
Right, we did. We played split squad, right? Yeah. So, and the 2-1 win on the November 9th was the revenge game for the 6-2 loss earlier in October. So, this is we either play them 3 or 4 times of the season, and this is the 3rd matchup already. And I will never not complain about so few games against division rivals. 3 or 4 times. Some teams we play 3 times, some we play 4, not many, and we should be playing teams like at least 5 or 6 times, at least.
Yeah.
So
after the Coyotes, we have Nashville afternoon game,
Black Friday
here in St. Louis.
Yeah,
that is a very rare game, right? Nashville, we've been to an 11:30 game in Nashville.
That was harsh.
Yeah, it was, and it snowed. It snowed as we drove down there.
It did, and it was in
March,
and it was even too. It was cold, and it was even too early for so you think, an early game, the game's over. The crowd spills out onto the strip there. You can have a good time. You have a nice long time to hang out and party and drink and have a good time. And it was too early. Mm-hmm. It was like 2:00, and we're like, okay, it's like 5:00 would have been a 2 p.m. game, and get out at 4:30 or 5:00, and then that'd have been a little better, but still a good time. But 11:30 was too early.
Yeah, way too early. But yeah, so you got the early game against Nashville on Black Friday. Thank God we can watch that while we're getting drunk on Bourbon County.
Yes,
and
hopefully better than this Earl Grey here.
Yes,
which I've gotten used to now. Actually, it's not as bad.
Well, so I was thinking about this earlier. Right, so we get the flights, and that's 6 4-ounce pours. That means we're drinking 24 ounces of average 14.8 ABV beers.
Yeah,
we're gonna be drunk for a while.
Yeah, well, and there's also going to be another beer probably after the flight is over.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because you get after you have a bunch of heavy small pours. You might want something different, change it up, right?
Right. So, somebody's going to go with Sun King.
Oh, that's me. The vanilla cream.
Vanilla.
Oh yeah, I love that. Amy says it tastes like cough medicine. I love it. It tastes so good. But this is it. Season. I mean, it might not have it. It's kind of a weird season for that. Just Bob in the YouTube chat. Just Bob 3000. Is it? Maybe it's a bot. Says they play Arizona again on December 2nd at Arizona. So
that's what I was thinking.
So we will play them 4 times.
Right. In their season series will be done before Christmas, which I always hate.
Yeah, and especially division, right? That's whatever. The scheduling in the NHL is weird. Austin Lynch is alive. Build that jersey is a beauty.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I had to bust something out that wasn't. I've worn a couple of Habs jerseys this week. I've figured I haven't worn them enough lately. So
okay.
So maybe Friday, instead of a Blues jersey, I'll wear my Kotkaniemi jersey, the Habs original reverse retro.
I'll never forget that night at Center Ice Brewery.
God, that was the best.
That was a lot of fun.
Overtime winner, the guy
God.
on my shirt.
Oh,
and
God.
then Montreal shits the bed. Mark Bergevin's last move is losing that guy.
Yeah, well, in a weird way too, right? Offer sheet.
Yeah, offer sheet, and he signed for what was it was Sebastian Aho's jersey number, $20, I think.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So after Nashville at 2 p.m. on Friday, we got Sunday in Chicago, 1 p.m.
Yeah, at 1 p.m. But the Blues are gonna catch the Blackhawks on back-to-back afternoon games.
Ooh.
So
you know what, Sunday afternoon games for the Blues never seem to go well.
Nope.
I don't know what it is.
No, I can remember back to when I was a kid and the Blues going into Chicago for an early game. Who's gotta probably be like 84, 85. And they just got walked out of the building in the first period. And yeah, that's always my expectation is we play an early game and we are going to get destroyed.
I think back to an afternoon weekend game. I think it was a Sunday game. I think the game for 1993 game 4 sweep of the Hawks that I was at game 4. It was an afternoon game, and I believe it was a Sunday. And so I have fond memories of afternoon hockey, but that was playoffs. It was a little different.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what though, if it's a playoff game and it's an afternoon game on a weekend and they lose, you got a lot of hours in the day left just to sulk in the misery of losing a playoff game. I'd almost rather lose it at night and then go to bed a couple hours later and just, slip it off.
Right. When Taves scored the goal against Ryan Miller, right? That was an afternoon game. I remember I was at Four Hands.
Yeah.
And they had like a food truck event as the game was starting. And by the time we got home just in time to see the Taves goal.
My daughter has a story about that goal, that game too, is that the goal was scored and I stood up and I walked out the walkout, and my daughter was sitting on the couch watching the game with me. She was little, just, 4 or 5 years old. And I stood up after the goal, walked out the walkout, closed the door, and just gave the biggest fuck as loud as I could to anybody that could hear me. Walked back inside, and she was like, "Dad, I heard that." I'm like, "Sorry, I tried to go outside." I was so mad.
God, what a lifetime game that was.
Yeah, but you got revenge. Was a couple years later, the next year, 2 years later?
2 years. That was 14.
Yeah. Right. Elliott and the Blues.
Yep.
Ooh,
Troy Brower.
The Demons. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Hope TJ Oshie was worth it.
Yep.
It was a great moment. Was it worth Oshie? That's debatable.
Yeah. A potential what if segment.
Yeah, that's true. I have thoughts on all of that I think I've mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have to save that for a what if segment. We should write these down. We talk about the what if segment, and we always have ideas for it. We haven't done it yet.
Right, it's been on the outline for 3 weeks, and we haven't touched it.
Nope.
We almost got there today because we talked about a lot about Ville Husso.
It has to be on a night when there's nothing to talk about. It has to be.
And tonight kind of would have been that night.
Yeah, we've got a couple more things though.
Yeah.
Rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. Connor McDavid was asked in post game. Did you hear about this? Did you hear this question he was asked?
Yeah. And my initial thought was, this is a guy that was around. Whoever's asking this question had to have been around for the late 80s Oilers.
Was it Spectre that asked this question?
Probably.
I think it was. I think it's Spectre. Defensively, he asked Connor McDavid after they lost. Defensively, you're struggling. Offensively, you got a couple tonight, but the power play is struggling. Are you better off to try and win this thing 4-1 or to try and win 7-5?
Right.
What the fuck kind of question is that?
Right. To me, that's like Wayne Gretzky would have won this game, you fuckhead. Right. That's how I read it.
He was like, obviously, we're trying to keep the puck out of our own net. We're not doing a very good job of it right now. He gave the canned, safe response to it. But he also said, you asked this question before. I've answered it before. You like this question for some reason. And he went on to answer it. I obviously, and, we've known this from listening to journalists ask weird questions during post-game pressers, and Ponder kind of backed this up. It was like they have a story in mind they want to write.
Right.
And they're trying to get quotes to back up that story.
Right.
And to fit that narrative for that story.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like he was wanting to write something about this, about winning a game 7-5 versus 4-1. He wanted McDavid to say something about it.
Right. Give me Grant Fuhrer. We'll do this.
We talked about this earlier. Nashville scores 2 goals in the last 38 seconds to tie and then beat the Avs 4-3 in regulation. Glad this game didn't go to OT, being a division game and all, but how fun is it to see Colorado collapse like this, even though it was Nashville who did it to them?
I mean, if there's a team in the division that you want to do that to Colorado, it's Nashville.
I guess so, yeah. A team is below you. Sure.
Yeah, in the standings.
That's true. And Milan Lucic arrested for domestic abuse.
The hell you say? Come on.
He was arrested on assault and battery charge. Wait for it, on Battery Street. I don't want to laugh at
it doesn't get more
but
Boston than this, does it?
Battery Street. The victim said that victim, which was his wife, right? Said that Lucic
could not say that. Allegedly,
could not locate his cell phone after a night out that she believed involved the consumption of alcohol. According to the report, she told the officer that Lucic began yelling and demanding the phone, which she did not have. She told Lucic that they did not have the phone or know where it was, and attempted to walk away, but told police that Lucic grabbed their hair and pulled them backwards. The victim also told police that Lucic said they would not be going anywhere. Lucic seems to be the kind of guy where it wouldn't surprise you to hear this news about him. For whatever reason, the kind of player he is. Not sure that translates fairly to personal life, but whatever. I guess she's the type of woman that does not like her hair pulled because she called the police. Some women like that kind of thing. I don't know. But they wanted to talk about, was there strangling? No strangling. So apparently just hair pulling. And I'm thinking if it was just hair pulling, and the police were called, that had to be a pretty violent hair pull, right? I mean, not just a simple little hair pull. That's got to be like to jerk your head back. Ow, that really hurts, kind of a thing. So,
right? Was it enough to pull the weave out?
Was it that kind of situation? I don't know. Does she have a weave?
I don't know. I'm not the kind of guy that sits around and Googles hockey players' wives.
No. But if you type in Milan Lucic into Google, I bet you the first suggestion is wife.
Well, it's every athlete,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Which is so weird. People search for that stuff. It's like,
I'm going to test this right now, and I am going to
do it.
Vladimir Chebaturkin.
Wife.
Oh no! The only thing is former ice hockey player. Damn it! Well, hold on. Let me finish his name and see if it comes up.
The chubby turkey wife.
No,
chubby turkey wife.
It does not. But Vladimir Tarasenko. No, it doesn't come up here either. Wow, that's interesting. My theory is debunked.
I think we are now at the end of our rope or outline, if you will, for the show. Anything else you want to add to the show, Bill, about the Blues? We got any predictions for the upcoming 4 games? how I just said we don't do predictions, but
right.
You did. Well, you did say you said Arizona.
I did say poop emoji. Poop emoji. Win. Poop emoji.
Okay. So you think?
I think we take down Nashville and Chicago, and then what the following game? Who's that against?
Well, Arizona, then Nashville, then Chicago, and then Minnesota.
So Arizona lost, Nashville, Chicago wins, and then Minnesota probably win.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we get our Binnington versus Fleury fight.
Ooh, I didn't think about that. and we'll do a show the next day. So they play Minnesota on the 28th, and we're scheduled to do a show on the 29th. So yeah, that can't happen. I mean,
this early in the season, maybe not.
Maybe not,
but,
and especially this is the next matchup, right, between the two teams after that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and they're going to talk about it. There's no way the planets will align for that to happen again. I mean, no way, not a chance. I mean, I love it, but I'm like, there's no way. That'd be weird. It'd be almost like scripted. If
we are owed that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't
we someone. I feel ashamed that I don't know the linesman's name that broke that up, but I feel like we should be talking about him like Deckinger. Right?
Yeah, an 85 World Series fucking up everything for the Cardinals.
Deckinger.
Yeah, he did. Well, Dinkinger fucked it up for the Cardinals.
Right.
This linesman fucked it up for the entire NHL and fan base.
For the world. Everybody wanted to see this. Bennington fans wanted to see this just because they like Bennington, and the rest of them who hate Bennington wanted to see him try and get his ass beat. It was Darren Pang can't talk enough about that, about how the hockey world was robbed of this fight. Probably one of the most anticipated goalie fights ever. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't agree with Panger often, but this is one point where 100% copacetic, bud.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think Bennington will get his fight someday. He'll get it. I mean, Fleury too. I mean, they both want it. Why don't just go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fleury, I don't know. He's got a couple more years left in him. Let's
I
get in on the wire, bud.
You know what would kind of be an issue for Bennington haters, though, if Bennington does actually fight at some point here soon,
and win.
Well, oh boy, if it wins, then they would have nothing to talk about. But even if he fights and loses, it's like, well, he fought, he backed up his antics finally, and it's like, you can't call it. I mean, half of their ammunition against him is gone, right? So they won something, but then after it's over, it's gonna detract from their criticism of him because he won't fight. He'll never fight. He does this stuff and runs away. He won't fight. But you know what I mean? It's going to take away their ammunition, half of it. So
right.
And I don't think they realize what they're asking.
Right. And thinking about it, maybe the linesman gave us the gift of anticipation. Further anticipation for when is it going to happen?
The build-up. I could have been looking this up too while we're talking.
Right, could have been, but it's kind of like baseball. You gotta think about baseball, and not the task at hand.
Let's see. The linesman who stopped the goalie fight. Wow, there's an article about it. And Golf Digest. There's an article in Golf Digest about the linesman who stopped the goalie fight between Bennington and
Of course, that's where you'd find it.
I mean, it's the first. Was it one of the first things that? I think I'm going to read the first part of this article.
I think I have a subscription to Golf Digest on my iPad.
Okay,
I don't know. I haven't read it in like 2 years.
Think of all the great heels in sports. Mike Tyson, Tanya Harding, Terrell Owens, Roger Clemens. Hell, even Phil Mickelson gets a vote at this point. Think of all their conniving and grandstanding and manipulation. Think of the actual crimes some of them committed. Now, with all that in mind, listen carefully. They don't hold a single middle finger to these NHL linemen. And then they got a Twitter clip, video of the linesman that letting Jordan Binnington and Fleury fight, not letting him fight. Who was it? Is it gonna the name? I'm looking for the name. I can't find it. Tell me they got the name in here. They say this linesman. No, they don't have his name. That's poor research. That's poor journalism. That's bad. Come, you got all the time. You could find this out easy. Coleman Bentley. Coleman Bentley with the Golf Digest. Come on.
Come on, man. That's a tease of an article. You know who would have let this fight go? Ray Scapinello.
I just the linesman. I'm looking. The guy has a fucking name. Where is it? We said this during the show after this fight. We said it. We had his name on there. Oh my god. I'm looking at the Twitter feed. No one's even saying his name. This guy's like, okay, he's an enigma. Whatever. But maybe small chance we get the fight against Minnesota on Tuesday.
I'm holding out hope.
You know they're going to show clips. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, first game since it happened.
Yep. Guaranteed. I was at that game. I was at the game where the Binnington and Fleury damn near fought. I was there with my daughter. Unbelievable atmosphere. Oh my god.
The last goalie fight that I got to see was Greg Stefan. And well, it wasn't really a goalie fight. Greg Stefan wound up getting tossed from the game. But Vincent Riendo was the Blues goalie, and he was like water skiing behind Stefan, trying to keep him from getting into another altercation, and he got leaving the crease penalty. That was the funniest thing in the world.
That's one of the weakest penalties in the NHL, leaving the crease.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap her up.
Let's do it.
Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you, and by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Give Mike a call today at 314-753-4060. For all of your home buying and selling needs, that's 314-753-4060. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis' tasty hockey team beer. Check out your local beer vendors for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That'll wrap up episode 7 of season 13 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For the MIA Jeff Ponder, Bill Day, and MIA Austin Lynch, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues, and looking forward to Black Friday.
Let's go goalie fights.
Nice.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number 1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend.